Forensic psychologist Dr. Georgina Cavendish's stomach rumbled as she pulled up to a traffic light. Her students at Lancaster University had broken up for the summer, and she was busy doing the admin involved in marking late submissions and loading final grades for all of her courses into the system. She also had faculty meetings to attend and needed to do some preparation for a paper she was presenting at a research conference in a couple of weeks' time. All of which meant she had little food in her cupboards, as there'd been no time to go shopping for dinner. She turned into her street and frowned. A group of people were outside her Victorian terraced house. What on earth was going on? She leant forward. Beside the gate, holding a camera, was a young woman dressed in jeans and t-shirt. Next to her stood an older woman with steel grey hair and more smartly dressed. She had a microphone in her hand. There were at least 10 other people milling around, including several more with cameras. She muttered under her breath and kept driving, for once hating that she had such a flash car. Fortunately, no one seemed to notice as she drove past and stopped in the next road, unsure what to do next. Were they there for her? And if so, why? She wasn't going back to find out. But where should she go? Ross's place was out of the question, as she hadn't spoken to him since their relationship had ended a few months ago. He'd proposed, and she'd turned him down. It still weighed heavily on her mind, but she'd done the right thing. He'd wanted them to continue seeing each other, but she'd said no, as she believed it would be impossible for things to go back to how they were. She'd had a disastrous experience living with someone before she met Ross, and didn't wish to repeat it. Even so, she still missed him, especially at times like this. She'd have to contact Whitney, a detective chief inspector in Lancaster CID. They'd worked together on several murder cases and were more than just colleagues. In fact, Whitney was the closest friend she had, which wasn't hard as she'd never been one for having lots of friends. Acquaintances, yes. Friends, no. She much preferred her own company. She pulled out her phone. "Hi, George," Whitney said, answering almost immediately. "How are you? We haven't spoken in ages." "It's chaotic with the end of the academic year and getting grading completed. And obviously we haven't had any cases." "I hope you're not jinxing it," Whitney said, laughing. George shook her head. One day she might be able to convince Whitney there was no such thing. "I've just driven past my house, and there are an inordinate number of people waiting outside. It's the media." "How do you know?" "Cameras, vans, people with notebooks in their hands." "Are you sure it's you they're waiting for?" Whitney asked, sounding puzzled. "They were by my gate. Who else would it be?" She winced. She hadn't meant to sound so harsh. "I can't imagine what they want." "Do you have anything major coming out in your research? Something to do with serial killers, maybe?" Whitney asked. "No, nothing's been published recently, and there's no reason for them to be waiting for me at home. All PR is done through the university. It's definitely not that." Her body tensed. She hated not having control over a situation. "What shall I do?" "Come over here. We'll have dinner and a catch-up. Lucky for you, I've recently bought a bottle of your favourite wine. I must have had a premonition. I don't usually splash out." George breathed a sigh of relief, ignoring the premonition remark. "OK, I'll be with you shortly." 20 minutes later, she pulled up outside Whitney's small, semi-detached house. Her friend was waiting at the door, her arms folded tightly across her chest and her lips set in a thin line. "You'd better come in and sit down," Whitney said, before she'd even made it up the short path to the front door. "Do you know what's going on?" She followed Whitney into the lounge, worried by the tone of her friend's voice. There were 2 full glasses of wine on the coffee table. "I think you're going to need this," Whitney said, as she handed one to her. "Why?" "I've been online and know why the media was waiting for you. It's to do with your dad." Her body stiffened. "My father? Is he okay? No one's been in touch. Has there been an accident?" "Don't worry," Whitney said, leaning forward and resting her hand on George's arm. "He's fine." "What is it then?"